Hello and welcome to episode 111 of Fergo and the Freak. I'm that bloke from Rugby League Project, Andrew Ferguson. You can find me on Twitter at AndrewRP. And join me as always as a glorious League Freak, who you can find on Twitter at League Freak. How you going there, mate?
Pretty good. I feel like 111 would be something that Chinese people would say is auspicious for some reason.
Isn't it the old Nelson figure in cricket? You know, the umpire, old Dickie Nee used to put his leg in the air whenever 111 came up.
I didn't know that.
There you go. So in cricket parlance, I'll spend the rest of the day with just 1 foot on the ground.
Okay, that's fair enough.
It's easy because I'm sitting down.
Yeah. And it's almost the end of the day as well. So
yeah, I just put 1 foot up on top of the slave's back.
Yeah. Well, as long as they stay on the ground the way that we like the slaves, that's the important thing.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Big week of news.
There's so much all of a sudden. It's weird. It's lots of little bits of news, but it's kind of all important in its own way.
Yeah. And to be honest, the best nugget is the one we're going to start with. That's Paul McGregor.
Yeah. Supercoach
Paul McGregor. I'll just summarise. He just had a quick little interview with, I think it was Laurie Daly on 4KY or something like that.
2KY, Sydney, Big Sports Breakfast.
There we go. And he's pretty much came out, and I've done a bit of a summary. I know you've done yours as well, so I'll go through my one. Mm-hmm. He blamed the loss of Jack de Belin, Gareth Widdop deciding to go to England, how that impacted the roster. They then wrongly focused on the future. Then Corey Norman was playing out of position. Injuries, lack of depth. That they're a development club. Then someone poaches his players. And he doesn't actually blame anyone, but it's not his fault, even though most of that is his fault.
It's almost as though he had this plan for the Dragons, right? And the plan started with them winning all of their games, and then they win the grand final. But all these things started to mess with his plan. So he can't be held responsible for the, 15th place on the ladder, because his plan had them winning the grand final. So I kind of see where he's coming from here too, because I don't think it was Paul McGregor that was the problem. I think it was every single other person at the club, including the players. And I think the fans need to take responsibility for the team's failure as well. I mean, shame on them.
We should also blame the universe.
Yeah.
Because it conspired, let's be honest, it conspired against McGregor. He had a very rock-solid plan. Be undefeated to the finals, win all the finals, and then win the grand final. I mean, find any holes in that.
Exactly. In another timeline, Paul McGregor, he's just sitting at home right now just polishing about 7 NRL trophies. He's like, man, I didn't realise it would be this easy. But that's a different timeline. That's not this one.
He's a smart man. He's done his research. He's gone. It worked in 1959 for the Dragons.
Mm-hmm.
Why don't we go back to go back to the glory days? We can do that again.
It's not rocket surgery. It's footy. Yeah. And if there's one thing Paul McGregor knows, it's footy.
It's footy.
Yeah.
Poor bugger.
Yeah.
Poor man. I mean, I almost shed a tear.
Injuries? When the fuck do injuries ever happen? I can't believe you had to deal with injuries this year.
I mean, Corey Norman playing out of position. I mean, who the hell told Corey Norman to play out of position?
I'm sure it was Ben Hunt.
Oh, it's got to be. No one else has got the authority to do that.
No.
A lack of depth?
Well, I kind of blame Corey Norman for that one. I mean, Corey has to take some of the blame. Well, that's because it can't be Paul McGregor.
Well, Corey's got to take some of the blame because of the salary he's on.
Yeah.
Like if he had come to the club and said, I'll play for $100,000 a year, then there's another $500,000 there at least that they could spend on other players. But greedy Corey Norman wanting all this big cash to be a half, all of a sudden, I mean, Ben Hunt too's got to take some of the blame because he's on even more money.
And then you've got Gareth Widdop, who is living in Sydney, having lived in Melbourne, and then all of a sudden he just gets this crazy need to go and live in Warrington.
Yeah, I must admit that's a bitter pill to swallow.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
I mean, you never think someone living in Sydney is going to go, you know what, I'd rather be in Warrington.
No one that's sane anyway. I mean, I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with Warrington, but I will most certainly write about it.
This is correct. I like the fact he was still going on about Jack de Belin.
Yeah, well, I mean, that came out of the blue back in, last November? So, I mean, how do you prepare for that? He only had 3 or 4 months to prepare for that.
Did you know, actually, before you go on, Jack de Belin had more try assists in his last season than every other NRL player?
Seriously?
Well, apparently.
I tell you what, none of them were for kicks, though. Because he doesn't like the kicks, McGregor.
Tap-ons or bat-ons or off the fifth tackle.
Yeah. He likes to slow the game down, take the backs out of it, and just, fuck with the back line as much as possible.
He's a man who's watched a game of rugby union from 1912, where the props just did 7,000 hit-ups every game and went, yeah, that will work. Let's do that. Yeah.
I tell you what, if they had have stopped the season after 7 weeks, premiers.
Yeah, I mean, he plays. See, the way the McGregor model works is you need to be successful for the first 6 weeks. Get the contract extension.
Yep.
Have one or two more wins to make everyone feel nice and warm and fuzzy. Like, oh yeah, we've made the right decision. And then just fuck it up.
Yeah, just ruin everything.
Yeah.
And the thing that I like about what he does is he extracts every last little bit of effort out of his forwards, but then he keeps on selecting them for the last, 19 rounds of the season.
Yes. And wonders why the game plan isn't working anymore.
Yeah.
There was an interesting quote in there which I know piqued your interest.
Yeah.
He said, we're a development club.
Yeah. He's made it out as though they keep on losing all of these great players that they've developed to other clubs, and so, what is he supposed to do? And so you went back and you went through all of the players that they lost, and the headline players that they lost that they developed, out of the list you told me, over the last, going back probably, 5 years, something like that?
Yeah.
Was Trent Merrin and Mitch Rain.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. It wasn't like they'd lost a bunch of New South Wales Cup level players. I don't know what he's talking about being a development club.
You could throw Brett Morris in there as well, I guess, but winger, centre.
Yeah.
They're not the players who win in your games. It's people in the middle.
He should line up the players that he develops at his club and loses with the ones that Penrith develop and lose. That list ain't even fair. And, it's what you do. Oh, we got too much talent. Oh, boo-hoo.
Well, I'd like
How
to
about
know...
you retain some of them? Just fucking retain some of them, Paul. If they're that fucking good, sign them. Instead of pissing and moaning to Laurie Daly. Fucking whinger. You've been in that job for 7 years now, and what have you got to show for it? You're telling everyone to forget all of the results from the last 6 years or so to focus on 2020. You're going to fuck that up too. Everybody around you got sacked so you could continue your job. Well done, Paul. Fantastic stuff.
He's a genius, because he even went on about how 2018 was good because they didn't get any injuries.
Yeah.
That's his whole operandus, man.
Yeah. Oh, what am I... Fucking injuries kicked in. It's like everyone's dealing with injuries, you dickhead.
Yeah. Oh. Couldn't believe the brazen idiocy of the human.
Just whinging about, about the fucking role of being a coach. That's kind of what your job is, Paul. You got to fucking coach the team, son.
But the thing is, the things that he was blaming as part of the problems are partly because of him. Like,
Yeah.
would have gone to England and how that impacted the roster. You control the roster. You're the head coach. Norman playing out of position. Who put him there?
Yeah.
Injuries. That's what you've got depth for. A lack of depth. Whose fucking fault is that? Someone poaching your junior players. You're not really putting up much of a fight. I mean,
seriously,
they've just lost Luciano Lailua to the Tigers. I mean, they barely put in a fight for that. The Tigers got in pretty easy.
Yeah.
And whether they want him or not's another thing, but you can't sit there and piss and moan about the fact you're losing development players when you're not trying to really resign them at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
There's always some talk that the Tigers might be getting Zach Lomax from the club. That's been going on for a while.
I just can't believe that he just, instead of saying it's on me, after so many years of being in that club, he's got to be, is he the longest tenured coach at a club outside of Craig Bellamy? It must be him and Paul Green, I would guess, would be up there.
Wayne Bennett.
Yeah, but Bennett's moved around.
I see what you mean, like in the one club.
The one club, yeah. Robinson, he's probably pretty close, yeah.
Brad Arthur.
Yeah, Brad Arthur.
Would you count Des Hasler?
No. He was in the wilderness this time last year. He was in the wilderness somewhere having coffee with Tony Williams, saying, "Don't worry, Tony, I'll get you a gig when I get back on the gravy train somewhere."
Ricky Stewart's been at Canberra since 2014, so they're about the same. Yeah. That's the same length of time as well. But that's it.
Crazy. That's friggin' crazy. It's just incredible that he come up with so many excuses, and it's not like he doesn't have talent at the club. Like we were talking about this the other night, he's got such a well-balanced forward pack, just beautifully balanced. They should be so good, and they're not.
Test halfback.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what you think of Ben Hunt. He's played Origin, played Test football, so he's obviously of the upper level of quality in the game.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think anyone can debate that.
Corey Norman, when he's on form's a handy player.
Yeah. There's no reason for the team to be playing as crap as they do, and I can't find it in me to blame the players, because when I watch the Dragons play, they play the most boring, mundane, ineffective attacking form of football I've seen in the game in a long, long time.
Yeah.
We had a period for a while where the Bulldogs were struggling to score points. That was largely due to a lack of talent, because they had to pretty much strip their club bare to try and get over the salary cap bullshit that they'd gone through and all the crap they had there.
Mm.
But they were still entertaining to watch. They were putting in the effort, and I think the Dragons players are putting in the effort as well. But the game plan is just an absolute dog.
Yeah, and I think the fact that everybody else lost their job in the management side of it, except for Paul McGregor, I think that it shows that they just couldn't afford to sack him, basically. And I wonder how much of their coaching is actually going to be done by Shane Flanagan this year. He'll be only allowed to be an assistant coach, but in title anyway. But, when they're out getting their coaching and everything and doing their game plans, he can do whatever he wants. Like, no one's sitting over his shoulder and saying, no, that's enough, Shane. That's too much coaching, So it'll be interesting to see what Shane Flanagan does there, and at what point the Dragons say, okay, now we can afford to get rid of Paul McGregor, because it's coming. Like, his record is bloody terrible.
I've got a solution for the Dragons.
Yeah, what is it? Merge?
No. It doesn't have to be drastic. No. Just give Paul McGregor a job of wiping the whiteboard down.
Yeah.
That's it. That's his job. Don't give him anything else. And give him a little script to read out when he has to do the press conferences.
Mm-hmm.
And replace his duties as head coach with, let's just say, a chair.
Okay, yep.
I don't think anyone would notice any difference. And if he's not doing any good wiping down the whiteboard, and I'll guess that he'll fuck that up somehow.
Mm-hmm.
Like he'll probably lose the eraser and then blame it on someone else pitching the erasers. It was a good eraser. I've done a lot of good work with that eraser. It was just coming good, and someone's come along and taken it. This happens all the time. And then, and then he finds out he's got another eraser, and then he wants to go to Warrington because the erasers do that sometimes.
Yeah, talking about the glory days of 2011 when he just wiping down that day, just like, and he took a couple of good hard strokes of that eraser to make that whiteboard just white and gleaming, and it's like those were the days.
Yeah. So, if they find that he's not very good at doing the wiping down the board, just say, Paul, I think it's time we part ways. Yeah. I think it's probably best for Paul McGregor, and he could go out and get a job that's more suited to him, which I think would be something like delivering mail.
Yeah.
I picture him on a push bike delivering mail. He looks like my mailman.
Does he?
Yeah. I just look across and I go, yeah, that's what Paul McGregor really should be doing. Just delivering mail.
I think he'd be good as a stand-up comedian. He just seems so bubbly with his personality and stuff. I think he'd be really good at that.
Big circuit.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people on there, a lot of competition.
Be fantastic. Imagine Paul McGregor selling out arenas and shit. Just getting up there. Just lights up the stage.
Doing HBO specials.
Yeah.
Oh, dear. Okay, well, while we're staying on coaches, we'll touch on this one briefly. Apparently, the NRL coaches are pushing for changes to golden points so that the teams that lose in golden point games get some sort of competition point reward. I did some tweets a couple of days ago where I put on there a whole heap of different options and how it would have impacted the 2019 ladder. And I look at all of them, and I think I don't see the point of making any of the changes because the biggest change was the Broncos dropped out of the 8 and the Tigers went in on some of them.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, who are the people that are going around and saying this whole idea, tried and tested idea that's been around for decades, where you get 2 points for a win, 1 for a draw, and none for a loss. I mean, it's just broken. It's not working for rugby league anymore. No one's saying it. And we took the piss. Remember when we took the piss out of the coaches and said if they had their way, there'd be nothing that they could lose in a game, and it would come down to a coin toss, and it would be a double-sided coin, so they couldn't lose that either. Because coaches don't like anything that loses them a game. And this idea that we're going to change the entire point system because some fucking coach doesn't like losing a game after 80 minutes, fuck them. I'm just sick of this whole idea that we've got to revolutionise the sport every year when there's nothing wrong with it. If you can't win after 80 minutes and you then lose in golden point, you don't deserve anything. What do you want? You want a pat on the back. Like, that's bullshit. There should be no changes to the point system. The point system is fine. We're not going to see some massive revolutionary changes to the ladder if we change it. The coaches need to just accept that sometimes they fail. And I know that it's not in their personality, but too bad. Like, if we keep doing what the coaches want, we're going to end up with a really fucking boring game.
Yeah, I'd actually say that if we want to talk to people who are going to give us ideas on what rules we need to change in the game, I would say that the one group of people I'd never ask are the coaches.
100%.
Because they are all going to be agenda-driven. Mm-hmm. What's going to work for my team to make them good?
And it will change year to year. Like, if they win 7 golden point games and don't lose one, they'll say, oh, yeah, I don't think we should have that. I think you should get all points when you win golden point. But if it switches around the next year, they'll change their opinion on it. You know, the coaches are all agenda-driven. They're all trying to break the rules of the game anytime they can. They, as you say, they're the last people we should be talking about the rules because all they do is whinge. How many of them have we seen actually literally whinge about the rules of the game, the rules of rugby league?
That's all they do is whinge.
Yeah.
That's the thing, though. Could you imagine putting the future development and growth of the game and the rule changing into the hands of the likes of Stephen Kearney, Paul McGregor,
Brad Arthur,
and that numbnuts coaching the Broncos.
Seaball.
Yeah. Just...
They're the last bit. They're the last in the whole list.
Can you imagine if Paul McGregor gets in there and says, right, Paul, what do you think we should do to improve rugby league? And you say, unlimited hit-ups for prop forwards.
Yeah, remember when he was saying that he doesn't think that kicks should count as proper tries or try from a kick? It's like, go away. Go and pretend to be the coach of this team next year, Paul. We're not looking backward. We're looking forward. You clean off Shane Flanagan's whiteboard.
What they should do is just get him to come along and clean the whiteboard at this coaches' conference.
Yeah, that's what it needs, because this idea is absolutely ridiculous. There's nothing wrong with how it is now. It's exciting. People enjoy it. Just leave the rules alone. Stop trying to make a job for yourself and make yourself all feel important. You know, it just pisses me off. I bet Graham Annesley's there somewhere with a laser pointer. It smells like an Annesley thing.
Oh, yeah, he'll be there.
It's got his stank all over it.
Now, something that is something that does have a bit of smell in this off-season has been the amount of articles about Latrell Mitchell that don't contain any quotes or sources.
Yeah.
But we finally found one that does.
Ooh, really?
Yeah.
Hit me with it.
It's got nothing to do with Latrell Mitchell and his contract status, though.
Okay.
Billy Slater says Latrell Mitchell could become a good fullback if he applies himself. And I'd argue that rule applies to every player that's ever played the game.
Yeah, application of yourself within a rugby league game, I feel like that is pretty important. Like,
I mean, I wonder if Billy Slater would be as good if he was as a fullback if he didn't apply himself.
Who's a player that didn't apply themselves, like a real lazy player?
Dave Taylor.
Yeah, there you go.
But if he had applied himself, he could have been...
He could still be playing if he'd applied himself. How crazy is that?
Well, I mean, he'd be in the same sort of mold of Tom Malolo and the likes.
Yeah, he would have been just a very... Like, I feel as though he would have been a really good wide-running... he's such a big dude. It's weird to say second rower, you know?
Great passing game when too for a big man.
Yeah, and he just didn't chase it.
Actually, he'd be more like a kick-out.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, come on, Jesus Christ. Corey Thompson would make a good prop forward if he applied himself.
I wonder what Paul McGregor's going to apply himself to in 2021 when he gets the arse from the Dragons. And Shane Flanagan, the first thing he does is he takes over as the head coach. He says, Paul, get the fuck out.
Well, you'll go get that job at Australia Post.
Yeah, Posty. I'd say, and you know what? I bet he puts those things on his helmet too to stop the magpies. You know, those pull ties?
Yeah, with the cable ties.
Yeah.
Well, that's because he's smart.
Yeah. He's ahead of the game.
There was a funny sort of story. It didn't start out as funny, but there was a response later on by the club which made it sound hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
Maika Sivo is reported by the Daily Telegraph to have almost lost his finger. And the Parramatta Club came out yesterday and said, no.
Yeah, you know what? The Telegraph actually said he was, I think it was 2 days away from losing his hand, they said.
Yeah.
And the club called bullshit. They were like, nah, never got to that point. Don't listen to the media. It was never in any danger of any of that bullshit.
Oh, God, that was just... I just had to put that in. There's nothing else to add to it. Just, the fuck.
Hand injury. I wonder how he hurt his hand. Like, what a shit injury to get, a sore hand. But yeah, the idea that he was going to lose his hand in 2 days. And think about it, right? Just say you really fuck up your hand. Say you get a big rusty nail and drive it right into your hand. And how long have you got to just do nothing with your hand for it to get to a point where they might amputate it? Like, it's got to be you got to be unlucky on top of it being a very long time, you know?
It'd be a few months. You just got to sit there with your hand with just a rusty nail in it.
Yeah.
I think it'd get to the point where he'd turn up to training with a rusty nail in his hand, and people would look at him and go, "Hey, Maika," he goes, "Yeah, mate." He goes, "You got a rusty nail in your hand. You should probably get that looked at." He's like,
Yeah.
"Oh, no. I'm leaving that there because I want to see how long it takes before I have to get my hand amputated." "What do you get your hand amputated for?" I said, "Oh, no, I don't want to. I just want to see. I just want to get close and see how long it takes."
Just a little side project.
Yeah, it's just something I'm working on.
Yeah.
Tell you what, he'd have a mean fen though, wouldn't he? Just put the hand up and just stab someone in the face with a nail.
Right in the eyeball. Can you imagine? He keeps fucking taking out eyeballs in the NRL.
Well, the worst part too is every time he go to grab the ball, he just put a big hole in the side of it.
Yeah, it just punctures onto his hand, and it's just good luck stopping him from that point. The only person that can get the ball off his arm is like Hodgson, comes up from Canberra every time.
He wouldn't have to worry about any of those handling issues that he had at the start of the year, though. It'd just be stuck to the nail.
That's true. What if you put like some sort of device on his hand, like a suction cup or a hook, or what else would be really good to have?
Well, wait, what he could do is once the rusty nail has infected his hand, has been amputated, he'd get a robot hand put on there as a replacement with that super grippy Teflon coated stuff on there, and it just stick to everything.
That would be pretty cool. And you could have like a whip attachment. So anybody that was getting away from you, you just like Indiana Jones whip them around the ankles. You start doing ankle taps like from 50 meters away.
Well, that's more like Inspector Gadget.
Okay.
Go Inspector Gadget hand.
Yeah, true. That's true.
I'm not running anymore. Just give me the ball 90 meters out and just do the Inspector Gadget arm over the top of everyone, just playing it over the line 90 meters down the field. It's a game changer.
It really is. I think that Maika Sivo has found something here. Maybe they've screwed him out of having this fucking Inspector Gadget hand. I want to see him cross for it like a try from halfway. He just goes try.
Oh, look what we're missing out on.
Yeah.
If you're listening, Paul McGregor.
Paul, go up to what's his name? Wendell Sailor's son. What's his name?
Tristan
Sailor. You go up to him, right? Don't let him know, and fucking cut off his hand, okay? And let the doctors do the rest. We have the technology, Paul.
It's there.
We have the technology.
That's the sort of genius he'd come up with.
Yeah. He could draw that on Shane Flanagan's whiteboard.
He could. It'd look fantastic. He'd be a great drawer too, I reckon. He can be great at drawing.
Imagine if he was really strangely artistic, and in his like team talks and stuff, instead of it all being scribbles and stuff, it's like it's a work of art every single time. Like the players, they forget about football. They're just like, wow, I'm moved.
He's really captured the emotion of my face in that drawing. How did he do that?
James Graham's in the corner wiping tears out of his eyes.
That's probably the problem. He's really good at drawing, and it's just so emotive. The players get there and they're just drained. Emotionally drained. They can't play the second half of the season.
That's hilarious.
Cameron Smith has said that he's going to go around again in 2020, but there was no real inclination that it was going to be his last year either.
Well, I'm pretty sure I read it in a paper that he was seriously considering giving up the game out of nowhere because he lost. He didn't win the grand final. He lost before he got there. And that apparently was a big enough loss that he just wanted to give up everything.
I remember there's also the story that some fan at a Roosters game said something unfriendly to him. And apparently that was the first time that's ever happened to Cameron Smith in his entire career, and he wasn't happy with it.
Yeah, and we all know that, after 400 NRL games and all the records he's broken in the sport, he is pretty fragile like that, you know. So, eventually he was going to hear something a bit mean. I don't know what they said, but it was mean. And, yeah,
I do know what was said.
Yeah.
Let's see. Cameron, you smell like poo-poo. That's pretty hardcore stuff.
Hey, Smith! Smith, and then he looks over and they go, you're an idiot, Head.
You're a bum face.
Yeah, you're fucking, go away.
I don't like
can you sign my jersey before you do, please?
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Staying with the Storm, talk that Brodie Croft could be set to sign with the Broncos soon.
It might be a done deal, actually. I think it might be a done deal.
I think for Brodie Croft, given that he was sort of a bit on the outer at the end of last season, which was a bit odd at the Storm, it's probably not a bad idea that he leaves.
Yeah, a good move for him. It gives him a chance. I think he was played great last year. I don't know why the Storm, turned off him. Really good pickup by the Broncos. I think he would have been a good pickup at any club. The only thing that worries me is that we have seen a lot of Melbourne Storm players who have been really, really good at the Melbourne Storm and they go to other clubs and they're average. And this isn't against Brodie Croft in general. I think it's just the fact that the Storm get the best out of players and other clubs just don't do that as well. But I think Brodie Croft is a little bit different. I think he'll be a really good signing for the Broncos, just what they need, really. They were desperate for a halfback, and he's a good young halfback. He's a solid player. He's got a lot of experience. So, yeah, it's a good signing. I wonder how Seabold's going to fuck this up.
Well, I think you sort of nailed it in a comment just prior there where you say that Melbourne Storm get the best out of a player. Mm-hmm. We haven't really seen Seabold get the best out of anyone at the Broncos this year. And
no.
Look, there are a few Broncos players that play great, but that's because they're just freakish talents. Payne Haas, David Fafita, But old Numbnuts up there's got to do an awful lot more work if he's going to take them to the next level and take that Broncos team who should be playing, should be a top 5 team every year. Mm. They shouldn't be struggling to make the 8. They shouldn't be getting dicked by Parramatta, 50-odd points in a finals match. And he's done very little changes to that club in the off-season. I hope Croft does go there, because I think he would be a great signing for them, and I hope he does play well there. The big question, though, will be who will be his 5/8?
Exactly. And look, going on last year, I think I would want Milford to be his 5/8. I think Milford, once Agreed. He got his feet at 5/8 again, and he was moved immediately when that happened, I think he'd be fantastic outside of Croft. And you think about this, like Croft and Milford in the halves. In the forwards, they've got Haas, they've got Fafita, they've got Pangai Jr., and they've got Offengowie. And if they need to get rid of Darius Boyd out of the team. He can't be the fullback or anything. Like, they've got some bloody good young players. And if it was anybody other than Seabold, I'd be really excited for the Broncos, but I'm not yet.
I'll say this. Because it's such a young team, I think, despite his tragic form, I think they need Darius Boyd in the side, but I would put him on the wing. Because he is a try scorer. I'd put him on the wing and just say, this is your job. You can still do your fullback stuff. You're on the wing. Just do kick returns. You don't have to get involved in plays. He's kind of out of the way. Mm-hmm. And I think he'd be fine enough there. For me, the biggest problem with the Broncos is not Darius Boyd. It's what they do at number 9. McCulloch's form just fell off a cliff, and it doesn't look like it's coming back.
No, McCulloch's done.
Because Boyd's such a big profile player, and he was the one who was copping all of the brunt of all the abuse and stuff like that from a lot of fans and supporters and whatnot of the game. And the slide in McCulloch's form just went under the radar.
It was really weird. I don't understand why. And they brought in what was his name? The PNG player.
Oh no,
what was his name?
Seguiaro.
Seguiaro, yeah, and unfortunately Seguiaro is not going to be around either. Yeah, so
he did a Seguiaro thing.
He Seguiaro'd it. So yeah, they've got the next thing they really need to do is look for a hooker. and them and the West Tigers both need to get something going with their hookers going into the next year. But yeah, I just think Seabold showed he has no idea what to do. And I think he showed that from the beginning of this last season right to the very end, where it just become some sort of weird drama fest with Seabold every week, and the team was just a sideshow. It was very strange.
I was going to say there is a place where there's a few hookers available.
And where would that be?
Well, I was going to say it before, and I realised it was going to have a bit of a double meaning, but it's the Gold Coast.
They
got Pete's and Rain there.
Yeah, that's the Goldie. If you're looking for a hooker, you just go straight to the Goldie and just sign one of them up.
Yeah, they've got hookers there.
Yeah, they get the job done too.
Oh yeah, very good. Very, very, very good.
Very nice.
We'll move on. There's reports that Kurt Capewell could be leaving the Sharks and going to Penrith.
Yeah. Interesting.
Come out of nowhere because Capewell was linked with the Knights for a long time, but they sort of went cold on him a bit. So it was sort of up in the air a bit. I think the Sharks needed to free up a little bit of space. So I think letting Capewell go would allow that to happen. They've got a few good young forwards that have come through, so they've got a bit of surplus there anyway. What do you think about the idea of Kurt Capewell going to the Panthers?
He'd be good addition. I know.
Would he go into the starting forward pack?
I think so. Yeah, I think so. I don't rate really too many of the Panthers forwards. And they need some changes in their pack. This is one of those interesting moves where it does seem like a bit of a salary shuffle. Penrith have a little bit of salary cap space spare because they're paying so many other players to play elsewhere next year. But, and I think any time the Panthers can just get a good, solid performer, they don't even need a superstar pack, just a solid pack, Any solid forward will do because their forwards are so soft.
I think, for me, the signing of Capewell may be an indication that Isaac Yao may be on the way out. And it could be a medical retirement because he copped a lot of head knocks in the last 2 years.
Yeah, he really did. And it's really weird how sometimes there's certain players that they just can't get out the way. And it seems like they just go through a season or two of just getting knocked about. And yeah, he was performing really well when he was playing.
That's the things I find with Yao is that it's not through bad luck or stupidity. It's from the fact that he's constantly working. Like he's everywhere in defence. He's always taking those hit ups. He's doing all that dirty work that sadly a lot of the Panthers pack aren't willing to do. Like Campbell Gillard wasn't doing it all year when he should have been doing a lot more of that sort of stuff. Mm-hmm. Tamo slowly started to when they gave him the captaincy in the second half of the season. But it just meant that, and Yao's not a big guy.
No.
He's similar to what Liam Fulton was to the Tigers. Just a dead set toiler.
Yeah, and he's pretty versatile too. Like they'll use him out wide and in the centre sometimes too. He's one of those guys. He works his ass off. But man, there's just so many times where you're like, oh no. And when he kept getting head knocks, there was one of them where I was like, man, this might be his career done. And the thing is that aside from the fact that head knocks are so dangerous and all that sort of thing, they also, once you've got enough of them as a footy player, it just sort of wears you down physically a little bit, I find. You can just get knocked out of the game. Yeah.
And I think Capewell would be a perfect replacement because he can play wing, centre, second row. And that's similar to the sort of role that Yao plays. So I think he'd be a perfect replacement for him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a pretty good signing. I'd like to see them make a couple of signings of that sort of at that level of just, as I said, players that can just come in and tackle and run.
I've got good news for you, man.
Yeah.
Another future target for the Panthers.
Ooh.
And I know Cleary loves him.
Ooh.
Russell Packer's just had a bit of surgery. He's going to be fit for next year.
Take that shit. I don't even have to finish what I was going to say.
Two more bits, and then we've got a bit of a talking point. Jabraria Hargraves is set to stay at the Roosters until 2023.
Yeah, good signing. I'm glad that he stayed. I didn't want to see him leave. Felt like he would have been moving into almost a journeyman part of his career, and I don't think I didn't like it when they were saying that he was going to the Panthers and all that. I didn't like it. I think the Roosters is a place for him, and yeah, I'm glad he signed there.
You know how he had a really great year this year?
Yeah,
30 years old. Matty Johns is on the ball, mate.
It's when you peak, isn't it? In your 30s. You hit
He's
30 and it's just boom. It's all uphill from there.
He's pretty smart to sign this contract extension just as he hit 30 and has a cracker every year. Smart man. Who said forward's a dumb, eh?
Yeah, I know. Hey, by the way, on my website, I found an article from years ago where Matthew Johns said that the NRL should scrap interchanges altogether. He's a real thinker.
He's a thinker. There's no doubt about that. That's a genius one. How did that not work?
I don't know. I don't know why we just didn't adopt that. And by the way, his brother Andrew is going to move into a halves coaching role at the Parramatta Eels because I know how much Mitchell Moses likes to be told what to do as a half.
Yeah, that's going to go down well.
Yeah.
Good luck, Joey. Speaking of the Eels, former Eels being a Semi Radradra is apparently a bit homesick and wants to come back to rugby league.
And he wants to take a pay cut to do it, which is...
Happy to take a pay cut?
Yeah, that's kind of shocking because at the Rugby Union World Cup, I mean, he tore them apart. It was crazy what he was doing at the Rugby Union World Cup. And it was just accepted that, on these performances, the idea that he might go back to rugby league for around $1 million, which we've talked about is too much for a winger, it was just gone then. It was just out the window at that point. And I talked about that he'd be a great signing for the Wolfpack, considering that they can sign a couple of players to whatever they want to. But there's talk that he's going to come back into the NRL and play for the Rabbitohs, which would be an absolutely amazing signing for them.
Absolutely. And imagine the hatred he'd get when he goes to Bankwest for his first game and he's wearing red and green.
But how about Sivo versus Radradra? Oh my God.
Be phenomenal.
And he's what, 29, 30?
Who's that, Radradra?
Yeah. Or is he 28? We looked at this a couple of months ago.
Let me have a look here.
Yeah.
I'll just go to this website that I know.
Yeah. Is it called Rugby League Project?
Yeah, that's the one.
It's a pretty good website, that. I do a lot of work on that website, personally.
You've done plenty?
Well, if you see anything on that website that's statistical base, I'd probably typed it in there. I'm just saying.
Tidy. Semi Radradra is 27 years old.
Oh, wow. Okay. So, wow. So how many tries has he got?
Just at NRL level, 82 tries in 94 games.
27. No, I reckon the record's out of reach unless he's ridiculously plays for a long time.
It's definitely out of reach.
You reckon? Well, say he comes back this year, right? Next year, 2020, and he scores 25 tries, and then the following year he scores, say, 18.
What did it say? He needs to score 131 tries to break the record.
Man.
He scored 82 in 94 games.
I think it has to do with longevity. I feel like he could have a really long career. Although, you know what? If his legs go, could he be a forward, do you reckon? You know what he could do? He could come off the bench and I don't like to compare him to this player, but Tony Williams style, when Tony Williams actually had those 4 or 5 good games, and you just bring him off as just a power running forward last 20 minutes. He would be pretty good at that, I reckon, when he gets older.
I suppose. Yeah.
Man, it's a stretch though. He has to nail it.
Just doing a calculation there. He's going to need to play on the current try scoring rate he has.
Yeah.
He'll need to play 243 games, or 244 games, to reach the 212 tries required to equal the record.
Now, is that all up or from now?
That's all up.
Okay. Oh, man.
Means another 150 games.
Oh, man. He'd have to have a ridiculously long career.
Which is it's over 6 seasons.
Yeah.
You need 7 years, so you'd have to play till he's 34.
I'll say this. I'd really love to see it happen. I'd love to see him try and do it. I feel like there's not too many wingers ever that you could say, you know what, he's one of them that could do it, but he's one of them that could bloody do it.
Yeah.
He was crazy good.
I think Sivo might be the one to chase it down now.
So do I, yeah. Or Vunivalu. I think he was another one we looked at.
Yeah, they've got pretty good striker, those two guys.
Maybe Latrell Mitchell was another one that we were looking at. There was someone else, and I feel like it was a big name that was like, oh man, look how many he's got.
Latrell's got a fair few already, so he's a pretty good chance, and he's quite young.
Yeah.
Now, player salaries.
Yeah.
There's been talk that, and this happens every now and then, that they should be made public. And this comes mostly from players who are sick of having conversations about, how much of the salary cap is taken up by certain players and what their wages are and who's overpaid and who's underpaid, blah, 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 blah. I'll say this, and I've said this before online, that I think we do not need to have player salaries made public.
No. I think it's a privacy issue.
Absolutely it is.
Anytime a journalist says, the players' salary should be made public, I'm always like, well, what are you earning? And they never say, funnily enough. They always keep it to themselves. It's a privacy issue. It's none of anyone's business, in my opinion.
Nope.
And anybody that says that the player's salary should be made public, I don't care what they say unless the first thing they say is, this is how much I earn this year, this is how much I've earned the previous 5 or 6 seasons, this is how much I'll be earning next year. Because unless you're willing to do that, why should we impose that on players?
Exactly right. Agree 100%. I cannot argue with that whatsoever. I think it's absolutely absurd and perverse that people want to know this stuff. I mean, it's bad enough that we have media going around chasing around the likes of Sam Burgess when he's on a boat in fucking Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
Why should we need to know how much he's earning as well?
And there's one of the problems that some players have when they come over from the Pacific Islands to play rugby league is that they have to send a lot of money back home, right? And it's just a cultural thing. It's just what they do, And if their salaries were public, it would apply a new pressure to them. And because the salary that would be made public would be their overall salary. It wouldn't include how much they've got to pay in tax, which is a whack that people forget all about. It wouldn't include their bills. It wouldn't include all of this, their financial stuff that they've got to look after. It wouldn't include how much the manager takes out of it. And, if you find out that player XYZ is on $800,000 a year, and you're like, well, he's got $800,000 every year, but it's not that. He isn't pocketing $800,000. I just don't like the thought of it at all. And I don't think it's going to happen. I think the Players Association would not let it happen, hopefully. Anytime a journalist writes an article about it, unless it starts with how much they've earned over the previous 5 or 6 years, I don't care what they have to say.
No, I fully agree. It's, as I said, it's just perverted. They just want us so they can create more content and then talk about, put out more of those bullshit articles about who the worst signing is of all time based on their salary and what they've done.
100%. It'll be used as a weapon against them. Yep. And it's just gross. The people that need to know. The people that don't need to know, they don't need to know. I don't care what players earn.
No, no. Actually, what I'd suggest, is if it comes out, every player should come out and say exactly the same figure. They should all have a meeting and say, right, we're going to tell every single journalist that what we're earning is $200,000 a year.
Yeah, that would be
every single one of them.
Yeah.
And you say, right, who's telling the truth?
And the thing is too, like there's this idea that the NRL clicks its fingers tomorrow and they say, all right, here's all the players' salaries. And the media sits down and they do the sums and then they go, gotcha, this team's over the cap. And it's do they think that's how it's going to happen?
Yeah, they reckon that they can just do a quick counting up and go, oh, they're over the cap, and going, yeah, no.
Yeah.
That's what they're trying to do.
Stupid. It's so bloody stupid. I saw somebody on Twitter earlier today and they said that if the player salaries were public, then it would stop player managers from talking up player salaries. Bullshit. And it would mean that clubs would be able to manage their salary cap better. Like the clubs don't know how much players are on. It's like how much Latrell Mitchell is on how much here?
Exactly. This is the thing. Everyone who needs to know what a player's earning already knows.
Mm.
No one else needs to know. The clubs know, the player managers know, and the players know how much they're earning. Everyone who's involved in this process knows. Mm. So there's no need for anyone else to know.
Exactly.
It's sick. This obsession with trying to figure out what a player earns is, I don't know, it's like this weird version of jealousy or something like that. I don't know what the fuck it is. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah, I don't get it.
The only thing I can get is it's just perverse.
Yeah, and like, I mean, I kind of hope that I'd love them all to be millionaires. I really would. I think it'd be fantastic. But yeah, I don't understand the idea. I think it would turn into something gross very, very quickly. And I could see where, I mean, players already get targeted for how much the nominal or notional values that are put in the media up are assigned to players. I mean, I think of someone like a Ben Hunt. You don't want. I think it's gross. It really is.
Well, that's the thing. Okay, with a lot of those is they're made out as though the player has demanded that salary in every occasion. That's not the case. The club are the ones who make the payment in the end. They're the ones who agreed to make the payment. Mm. So they're the ones with the final decision. If they think he's asking for too much, then they won't sign him. It's just as simple as that.
Yeah.
If the Dragons thought, yeah, you know what, Ben Hunt's worth $1 million, they sign the contract and give it to him, then more power to him. But it's not his fault that they signed to that. That's their fault. Same with the Bulldogs for signing Foran for what they paid for him. And
yeah.
To be honest, I think they're worth what they were offered anyway.
Darius Boyd's another one. Like, and people saying, he should just, give up all that money. And it's like, go away. Yeah. They owe him that money.
Yeah. Would you?
Exactly. That's why it was so gross when former players were coming out and saying, Darius should do the right thing and walk away. And there were some players that were doing it that were involved in the Super League war. And it's like, you fucking idiot. You were doing some fucking backhanded shit during Super League to make every last cent you could. And then you'd go and turn around and say Darius should stand down. Fuck off. I'm fired up today, eh? What's going on?
You are fired up. And the sad thing is, we just got through all the news.
Oh, really?
Yeah. What else can you get fired up about that's gone
on? Let me think.
Well, there was a Panthers player who pleaded guilty to the sex tape crap from was it start of the year?
Start of the year, yeah. Apparently he copped to one of the charges. I didn't read it, so I don't know exactly, but I was told that he copped to one of the charges and the other one was dropped. So I don't know if he's still on their books. I think he might be, but I thought that they'd sacked him earlier this year. But then I was told that he was just stood down under the no-fault stand-out policy. So I'm guessing that they'd sack him now if they haven't already.
I assume he was still on the books because, Ivan Cleary was there today watching over the whole thing.
Oh, was he? Jesus Christ, man.
Just Ivan.
They don't care, do they?
Nah.
They don't care.
So he's got to return to court on January 31 for sentencing.
All right. I wonder what happens to him.
May, who had been earmarked as a long-term prospect for the Panthers, was he?
He was like a fringe first grader, I thought.
Yeah, he played 19 games in 1 year, and that was about it. Nothing there.
Hey, I was just looking on the NRL website, and they were saying, and it said that the headline is, and it's from Brad Walter. He's a content creator for the NRL, and it says McGregor draws line through 2019 season after US trip. So where'd he go to, McGregor?
So he was happy with 2019 until he went to the USA, and then went, yeah, 2019 was bad because I watched NBA and NFL and some hockey.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah,
that's McGregor logic for you there. Join the dots on that. If you can figure out how the dots join on that with that information, let us know.
I just imagine that he gets back from this junket and he sits down with whoever's left at the Dragons, and they say, "So, Paul, what did you learn about our rugby league team from your junket over there that we paid for?" And he goes, "Well, I learned that when it comes to 2019, fuck that shit. I'm looking forward."
Let's have a look at this article. So, McGregor and team manager Ben Haran joined the AFL Coaches Association. Oh, Paul even got on the wrong plane. New leadership immersion program, along with the likes of West Coast Eagles Director of Coaching Gavin Bell, Essendon assistant coach Mark Harvey, and his Carlton Hawthorn counterparts Cameron Bruce and Adam Easy or whatever it is. Others in the 15-strong group included Melbourne Storm COO Danielle Smith, who's also CEO of the club's Sunshine Coast Lightning netball franchise, AFL umpire Matt Nichol, and Cotton On Group Executive Operations Logistics Glenn Keast.
The old Keister.
Right. I think, Paul, I mean, I know we've talked a bit to you already tonight, Paul. Your problem you've got is not your inability to shift clothing or get the best out of a netball team or understand the finer minutiae of being an AFL coach. I think what you need to focus on, and this is going to sound absurd, so bear with me, is how to be an NRL coach. And maybe the best way to do that is to be with other NRL coaches.
Yeah, he should
just a crazy idea.
He should sit down, right? And any time that Shane Flanagan talks about rugby league, not so much supplements, but rugby league, he should listen.
Yeah, and for someone who's really, really opposed to scoring tries off kicks, it's a bit funny that he's going to spend a lot of time with AFL coaches.
Yeah, it is pretty funny. What do you reckon they talked about in their spare time?
Oh, coffee.
Probably.
I don't know what Victorians talk about. I don't mingle with Victorians.
Good. I know that you're down there and you're shining the light for rugby league down in Mexicanville down there.
Yeah. I sit here in my bunker.
Yeah. I like that you treat them like they're a bunch of NPCs with no soul. That they're just like walking around like Sims. Yeah, like I don't even pay attention to these fucking people. They just like yap, 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 yap.
When I say Victorians, I mean the ones who don't follow rugby league.
Yeah, because there are some Victorians that follow rugby league.
Yeah. Nathan?
Heaps of them. Yeah, Nathan does. By the way, I was thinking about Nathan the other night.
Naturally.
Yeah.
As you do.
And I can't get over how good he is.
Yeah, he is a good man.
Like, I think that he should be treated to something really nice.
Well, we had a bit of a get-together. I mean, we've already got planned for a barbecue in January, so...
Oh, nice.
Yeah. I should get the biggest steak I can find just for him.
Yeah, Yeah,
should I go with a 1 kilo rump or should I go for something a bit bigger? Should I just get a roast just for Nathan?
That's a good idea. Yeah, I think I'd go for the roast. Like a nice big rump steak is great. It's fun, but like a full roast, and it's Nathan's roast. No one else. Like, yeah, you give the fucking chops and stuff to whoever. Get some of those fucking. You know how you get the snags and there's like 57 of them in the cling wrap box.
Yeah. That's for everyone else.
That's for everyone else. Nathan, though, you get him the nice fat pork sausages. Oh, maybe a little something inside them. Maybe the fancy ones.
We'll look after you, Nate.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, have we got any emails?
You know what? And I'm not trying to make some time up here at all.
Yeah.
But we actually did. We did get some email. Fucking load up, you bitch.
Stop talking to your cat like that.
It's just loading up. Hang on. We got a couple of emails. We got one from.
I like the fact you still use dial-up internet.
So here we go. So we got an email from Anthony Platt. I wonder if he's Andy Platt's son.
Got to be.
He's in Australia. I hope I'm allowed to use your name, Anthony. He says, "Hi team, just listen."
Don't use my name.
Yeah, please do not use my name. Hi team, just listen to your podcast about the international scene, and you asked about where to expand the game next. I suggest Hawaii. The Pacific is where rugby league is growing. I believe that Hawaii doesn't really have a national team, so they may get right behind a sport where they can compete with fellow Pacific nations. Big population, big money, and sponsorship possibilities. And let's face it, Pacific nations kick ass. Plenty of Polynesians who seem to take to league in a big way. Just a thought. So that's a pretty good email.
So you emailed yourself?
No, I did not.
Because I know that's something you're really mad keen on, is having a team out in that area.
Yeah, and I guess Anthony is like he's on board as well. So me and Anthony will be team managers when Honolulu comes into the National Rugby League.
There's the first two shareholders right there.
Yeah, exactly. We got another one from Juan Garcia, and It was about the international rankings. We are actually going to do a big international rankings episode, probably early next week. So we've got your email, and so yeah, we're gonna. I know we said we were going to do. We've got a couple of great suggestions that he put forward for podcast episodes. So we'll do this one first, and then we'll probably get to the other one down the track, I would say. Let me see if we got any other ones. What's this one here? Why is my bloody email loading so slow? This is ridiculous. Okay. Oh, yeah, that was about the Legends of Origin match. I tell you what, anybody that knows where we could get footage of the 2001 Legends of League Origin match when Mark McGregor got into a fight of Mal Meninga, let us know so we can send it on to Ryan, because Ryan wants to see that fight. The subject is Sparkles McGregor. So, yeah. So we haven't forgotten about you, Ryan. So, yeah, that's all the emails. It's good to get some emails, hey?
Yeah. I didn't think it worked.
Do we have any new podcast reviews on Apple?
Let's have a look. I don't think so. No new reviews.
Okay. So, well, people, you need to get out there and review the podcast, because without your reviews, we don't get the glory we want. You know, we'll read out your reviews. We put on the reviews. Go and have a look at the website, fergoandthefreak.com. Go and look at the bottom of the pages. I'm putting the reviews there for you. And name it, using your names.
Yeah. We're making you famous. You can Google yourself now and you'll get a result.
Exactly.
That's fantastic, isn't it? I mean, you can show your kids that shit.
Yeah. And say, when they used to do podcasts before they would ship, you just insert it into your head. Look at this review I put down. Can you imagine if one day people are inserting our chips into their heads?
Yeah. Wow. What will society be like then? We'll just
I
be
know.
sitting around eating dogs.
Well, eating dogs, yeah. People want to listen to Fergo and Freak, and so they've got to get a chip. And yeah, so they go out and they go to a special shop, they get the head job, and then they can listen to us on the podcast.
Would that shop be in the Gold Coast at all?
I can't say anything. I can't say anything. Anything I say is just going to lead down a bad path.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to let you do that to me tonight.
I made sure I trimmed the hedges by the path there. There in Gold Coast.
Can't. Just walk away.
Just walk away.
Just walk away.
All right. On that big bombshell where you didn't take the stroll.
Yeah.
We'll wrap this sucker up. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. Catch us on Twitter at FergoFreakPod. Catch us on YouTube. Go over there, subscribe, like all the videos. As Freaky said, get on the on your podcast listening device and sit there and give us a 5-star review and give us big praise, and we'll read it out and give you big praise. And we'll catch you next time.